Hey Watchdogs, I want to give you a quick tutorial on the sumo deadlift. I'm going to go over the setup fairly quickly. I'm going to try to keep it concise for you. So that way, like, you can watch this, you can get an idea, and when you come into class, we'll still do another tutorial, but it's just like anything like in school, right? If you study before you go to class, before the lecture, you study the chapter before the lecture, then you go in for the lecture makes a lot more sense. Okay, so first I'm going to go over the conventional deadlift. Conventional deadlift is typically going to be feet are about hip width apart, arms are outside the legs, right? We've all done this before. And this is a conventional position. You can see it from the side here. You'll notice that with the conventional position, our shoulders are in front of the bar, our back is fairly horizontal, our hips are high. What we're trying to do is kind of get the quads into a position where the knee is almost fully extended, and so the quads don't have to do too much work to finish extending the knee to get the weight up to the off the floor up to the knee, and then the hamstrings and the glutes would kick in to finish the hinge. A sumo deadlift is a little bit different. We actually have more knee flexion in the sumo deadlift, so we're going to be using those quads a little bit more. What that does is we're shifting the load a little more to our quads and taking a little bit off of our glutes and our hamstrings, so that way we can save our lower backs a little bit. So this is a great variation. I personally started learning the sumo deadlift to help alleviate a lot of my low back pain. So the sumo deadlift, the way you're going to set up for that is you're going to take a wider stance with your toes pointed to the front of the plate. How wide of a stance? Everybody's different, but a good rule of thumb is going to be when you bend the knees, the line should be just outside of your shin. And then some folks can go a little bit wider to where when they bend the knee, the line is going to be right there in the middle of the shin. Very few people need to be so wide that their feet are almost touching the plates. But if that's you, great. We'll figure that out over experimentation. As far as toe angle, most people are going to need the toes to be pointed to the front of the plates. So here's my toe, here's the front of the plate, it's going right in line there, okay? Distance from the bar, about an inch away from the bar. So you don't want to be back here with all of this space, but you also don't want to be right up on the bar to where it's touching. About an inch away from the bar is typically good for most people. Okay, so that's our stance. As far as our grip, where do we need to put our hands? A lot of times people want to like grab the bar from the middle for some reason. Don't do that. Like, I don't know why, but that's just what people, they think, oh, sumo deadlift, I'm going to pull from the middle. Don't do that. You're also not going super wide trying to snatch grip the thing. Don't overthink this. Your arms need to go straight down, and then you're there, okay? So most people should at least have one finger, at least your pinky finger, on the knurling of the bar. Some people will be 2, 3, but most people will be 1 or 2 fingers on the knurling. That's our hand position. That's our foot placement. So now we're here. You don't want to get into a conventional deadlift with a sumo stance, which looks like this. You don't want to do that because your shoulders are forward of the bar, your hips are high, you're loading the hamstring. Like, that defeats the purpose. The sumo deadlift, you want a more vertical back angle, and it's going to look something more like this. You see the differences? I'll show you again. So from here, I'm going to go from a conventional deadlift with a sumo stance into where you actually want to be for a sumo. Now, for those of you who have been pulling conventional, you may want to do that. You may want to get into that incorrect stance or that incorrect back angle first, and then sit back and pull yourself in. Common mistakes I see for people going from conventional sumo is they try to set their back as if they're pulling sumo, as if they're pulling conventional, meaning they're like trying to push their, like flex their low back to get the slack out. You don't want to do that with the sumo. You want to allow your spine to just kind of relax. Your low back's neutral. What you're trying to do is pull your shoulder blades back and down as you sit back. So it looks like this. Your spine is going to remain neutral. You'll feel like it's rounded. It's not. It's neutral. Maybe your upper back's a little rounded, but that's okay. That's going to be a stronger position for most people. So it'll look like this. Once you've got the slack pulled out of the bar, just stand up. Don't let that bar kick out. Just drag the bar straight up. You will scrape your shins. You're going to scrape your shins about that much. Too bad. You'll get really strong, and you'll have tiny little scars on your shins. No big deal. We'll show you again. I hope this helps.